charged to operators that folded up or failed to operate for the period of their license. You see, Honorable Chair, yeah, the figure for, I'm now going to the Appendix 2 to clearly explain each company and its associated figures. Appendix companies shut down by the Commission. That's right. Honorable Chair, these companies that shut down by the Commission were part of these stated categorization, and we indicated that some they failed to operate for the period. And if you look at the shutdown companies, we have MaxBet Gaming Company. Okay, sorry. The number is 9, Honorable Chair. 9 companies were shut down.
But that didn't answer my question.
Okay.
Were they owing the commission before you shut them down?
Honorable Chair, they were not owing the
Order.
Honorable Chair,
yeah.
They were not owing the company before they were shut down.
What was the reason for
the reason
being
is
shut
that
down?
if they didn't operate, the fact that the commission has issued an invoice to them, and the second step is that they fail to operate. But if the commission, upon their failure to operate, the commission is settled down, in our books it will be stated, it will assume that we still have these people in operation. We have to go through the normal process to make sure that we close down their this thing in our books.
If you go to collect driving license and fail to drive, will you say that the license office should refund the money to you because you did not drive? So I'm making this example because if you issue an invoice or give license to a company, that company failed to operate, you must recover the money from the company because it's a debt that they might pay. It is they failing to operate, not because you didn't give them the license.
Honorable Chair, my understanding from what they are saying is there's a distinction between an invoice and license to operate. An invoice is issued in the process of issuing the license. And until there's payment of the invoice, they are not registered. The license is not issued.
The license is not issued.
The license is not issued. So that is it. But still, I raised the matter of monitoring issue. But there's a distinction between an invoice and a receipt. And when I raise it, you distinguish it for me. Why an invoice from them is taken as an amount due by the auditors is what they need to resolve. Because in normal parlance, if I go into a shop, a company, and I make inquiries, and they give me an invoice. No, they give me an invoice. It's a invitation to trade. They give me an invoice. If a lawyer, it's not an offer, invitation to trade. If I take it and I pay.
Honorable Minister, there are difference between pro forma invoice and an invoice. They are not the same. Invoice is a commitment. Pro forma is an invitation to accept or not.
Yes.
So if once you issue an invoice, a transaction has taken place, and you need to demand a compensation. That is it.
Well, fine, but does that make it a payment already?
If I sold goods to you, I issue an invoice. But if I give you a pro forma invoice, you have to decide based on the pro forma whether to come and buy the goods or not. So as soon as I issue invoice to you, it means that you bought the goods and I issued the invoice to you. And you must pay for it.
And you didn't pay, so what did you do? Honorable Chairman, I have a role to play in these matters, and I do not want to condone a situation that is less than clear. I would ask that the Gaming Commission go back and engage the auditors to clear the act. The answers introduce more confusion than clarity.
Honorable members, we are suspending the discussion on the gaming issue. We want them to go back, prepare well, and come and give us proper response. So let's move on to the last one for.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yes. So gaming, go back and come back. We'll give you time to come back. So let's move on to paragraph 320. That is Ministry of Interior Headquarters. Vehicles paid for but not supplied. So, Honorable Minister, in 2015, Toyota Camry vehicle at a cost of $326,830 from Western Automobile Center Limited. Now, the auditors are saying that the ministry should compel the company, Western Automobile Center Limited, to deliver the 2 vehicles or refund the money with interest. Honorable Minister, kindly tell us what happened.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. This was a transaction that took place in 2015.
Honorable members, order. Order.
In 2015, and as I commented in my opening remarks, there was a payment by the ministry in 2015, and the vehicles were not delivered. So one part is in court, but I would like the Chief Director to give the rest of the answer.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. With the introduction of the GiveMiss system, we went through all the procedures for procurement of these vehicles. And Western Automobile was the one that won the contract in 2015. So the process for the payment was effected through the GiveMiss platform. We approached this company severally for the delivery of the vehicle, and they claimed that we had not paid the money. But yes, there was evidence to that effect that we had paid. So we assumed that there was an element of fraud in this case, because once we had paid, we expected you to deliver, but he continuously denied that the ministry had not effected payment. So we reported the matter to the police. Police statements were made, and we are still in court on this matter.
Explain.
For the timing of the reporting, it has been reported now, so let's deal with it.
The reports in the ministry show that. And even though we're not there, we are in court on the matter, because I believe the records that we have seen. But it's also important for us to, just like I was prepared to allow one of my agencies to sanitize the act, that if something happens in 2015, and we have to wait for the report in 2019, you can see what the problems would be. Who are the officials who were there?
Let's find out from the auditors. Why are they not reporting on it in 2019 report?
Yes, they would explain that. Yeah, but we are in court now, as far as I know, and we are trying to make sure that they either give us the vehicles or refund the money. Thank
you. Mr. Doku, can you respond to them?
Interest, if they refund the money.
Oh, definitely. That's what the report says.
I might consider you for a lawyer in this matter.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. When we did the audit in for the 2019 audit, we sought to verify the fleet of vehicles available at the time. That entailed going through the vehicle files and doing a fiscal inspection. So in the process, we noted that 2 of the vehicles were not available. So our further probings led us to this point. Thank you.
But the question was that, why didn't you do the same audit in 2016, 17, 18?
Mr. Chairman, it is a practice that when we do our audit, we would verify the vehicles at the time. It could happen that during the time, the transactions had not been concluded, so the information was not available. As I indicated, we matched the vehicle files against the physical vehicles present, and that was how we established this. Thank you.
Auditor, I'm glad that this question has come out from the minister. We noticed that one of the controversies is that most of the time, your reports, let's say 2020-19 reports, as you go through, you have found a lot of infractions that happened maybe 10 years ago, and people don't really understand. So if you can explain to us how come sometimes infractions that occurred, let's say 15, 10 years ago, now appears in the report, and people think that it is a current report or current infraction. How do you explain that to the public? I think it is important.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We always do follow-ups on our audits with respect to issues which are not resolved at the time of the audit. And so when we do an audit and the auditees are unable to provide us with the requisite information pertaining to the audit, the logical thing is to put it back in our report until it is resolved. And so some of the outstanding issues stems from that. That aside, we deal with outsourced audit firms who mostly delay. I recall that one of the firms was here and such an issue arose. They have to, they are not paid by us, but by the auditees. Some of the times they require resources to be able to do the audit. So when those resources are not available, it delays the audit. That is the reason why those reports delay. Thank you.
Well, this is an internal issue. We'll deal with the audit service.
Honorable Chairman, we as politicians need to be covered in this matter. I'm sure my colleagues at the time would have resolved this matter. When we don't also ask the Auditor General to put his act together, we create impressions that are not right. And I think that we ought to let them be more serious about it. Sometime in 2015, no response. 2016, 2017, and 2019, you bring it. The populace listening to us will think they are question marks when they are not. The minister at the time, in 2015, would have sorted this thing out if they had pointed it out. And so I think that whilst we appreciate
Honorable Minister, I agree with you, but I think that it is this audit report that is even making you yourself to now know the issue. If not, you would have solved it in 2017 when you were there. But the issue did not come up. Now it has come up. You are taking action on it. So it's good that it has come up now. If not, you wouldn't have even known of this.
If it had come out then, it would have been my handing over notes for me to deal with it.
No, you are not handing over to anybody now.
No, what I mean is,
you hand over in 2024.
My colleague, no, I'll hand over
2024.
after we break the 8 and we're going on.
2024,
but
you hand over.
For this matter now, when I was taking over, we were told what we owed at the time, and it's important that we do take this matter seriously.
Paragraph 323. Honorable Ranking.
Thank you, Chairman. The Auditor General at a police station in Vapo noticed that 2 rifles, numbers AZ6292, AZ7488, were taken in and out of the station without any records of movement, in contravention to Instrument 96 of the Police Service Instructions. IGP, how have you handled this matter?
Honorable Chair, we are advised to ensure that this does not occur again and ensure compliance of the regulation, which we are currently doing. And we must also thank the auditors for drawing our attention to such a matter, because arms and ammunition are the one last thing that as an institution we want to joke with, considering the volatile sub-region that we are in. So we've taken steps and made sure that those two rifles and all other rifles in that jurisdiction are accounted for properly in the books. And we've checked and it is being done. We've also taken the opportunity to advise all commands across the country to ensure that we become more vigilant when it comes to the handle of arms and ammunition, so that they don't end up in the wrong hands and create problems for us. And more importantly, we are also, based on things that we are doing, to make sure that who actually made that to happen. I've asked that when the matter came to my attention a couple of weeks ago, they should look for that person for us to probably ask more questions, because arms taken out and brought in without properly being documented is an oversight that cannot be taken lightly. So we can assure you that we will do more of that, and subsequently we will not see that. So we've taken the advice in good faith. I thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. But I'm more interested in what system you have in place to ensure that this is only VAPO, but maybe it's happening in other stations. So what is the system that will assure you that these things are checked or are noted as soon as it happens?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, fortunately, I don't know the subsequent audit report whether any other jurisdiction has been mentioned, any command has been mentioned. But look, I say that the system we put in place is sufficient, because you walk in there to take a weapon, there's an armorer who sees to it that he releases the weapon to you after you've gone through the process of documenting your receipt of the weapon. And knowing that after you've taken the weapon, when we are accounting for it, you will be responsible. The person come back from duty, the person ensure that the weapon is also returned, so that it doesn't keep standing in his name. So the omission is not a systemic, it's not a system-based. It is human-based. Somebody is supposed to have ensured that the records are kept, and then the weapon are released and then returned based on those records, and it is not done. But the system, if you put a system of as if there was nothing, and therefore anybody can walk in and pick a weapon and then return anytime. But the system is in place. But ensuring compliance with the system is the issue, and that is a human factor that we will deal with. Thank you.
We'll take only one, and then we'll end it. Honorable Roxon.
Chairman, thank you. Chairman, I'm asking this because this is the IGP himself, and this observation is contrary to your service instructions. And I know that particularly service instrument 96 of the police service instruction of the Ghana Police Service. And I know that when there's a breach, there are internal disciplinary measures. I want to find out whether you took disciplinary measures against the officers in charge at the Vako police station. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I don't have any evidence of action taken on the matter. That's why I did indicate earlier in my earlier submission that I have tasked the command to find those responsible, and let's ask the relevant questions. And if anything is found against them, then the due process is taken. And that is where we are on the matter. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Poku.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm wondering about the number of rifles they have at Vakpo. Vakpo. Mr. Chairman, why is it that only these two rifles moving around without the necessary documentation? I have a feeling that you have more than 2. But how come only these 2 were moving around without the proper documentation?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, with your permission, when it comes to state security matters, matters of national security, it will be very difficult for me in the opening to mention to you how many weapons we have at Bapo. So if you will permit me to skip that. But I want to assure you that there are many weapons to contain any situation at Bapo and its environs. That assurance I can get from you. You can get from me, sorry.
That's good.
Yeah.
But your minister and your chief director are all not in nose mask, but you are in nose mask. Why?
Honorable Chair, I'm following the advice of the Ghana Health Service.
You want the president said you can remove it to.
Honorable Chairman, I'm on the same page with you.
Doesn't mean that you don't trust the president. Doesn't mean that you don't trust me. I trusted the president, so I remove mine. You don't trust the president, so you are still in a mask.
Honorable Chair, I plead with you, don't put words in my mouth.
Chairman, I have one public interest question. IGP, we have a challenge. As we receive a lot of institutions, one thing we noted is that whenever there's burglary, especially burglary, and institutions report to the police, that is the end of the matter. We have had reports that have been pending with your police stations for 5 years, 6 years, and criminal cases, burglary. So I don't know if you know about this situation and what you can do about it. Because it's like, oh, we've reported to the police, we haven't heard anything. And that is the standard answer we get here.
Honorable Chair, I'm grateful for that question, but I know because this is not the forum for it, if we are to speak to it, it will be a full 5 hours, if we are to handle it. Because generally, if we are to look at it, the first point I would like to say is that when cases are reported, it takes the support of the complainants and witnesses to work with the police in order to get to the bottom of it. But if after a report, steps are taken, and initially our immediate investigations do not lead to a suspect and therefore an arrest immediately, we keep having these matters followed up. But over time, the support from the complainant, support for a possible witness, and even people who even know the people in the community who did that will not come forward and help the police. And then you have a situation where the case remains unresolved. And it is not peculiar to Ghana. When it comes to cases being resolved, cases that have happened, the percentage unresolved, that tend to be a cold case. And after the case can become cold, then we go to the next level of it, which we call the ghost case, that you can never find them, and then you end it there. But we have taken precautions to make sure that at the end of the day, if we are unable to do more and improve upon the clearance rates, we will have a challenge of losing the trust and confidence of the people. Like you said, people come complaining that this is the matter, it came 4 years, 5 years down the line, nothing has happened to it. We are looking at a situation where going forward, we'll be able to give closure to people in terms of cases that have been happening, what we've been able to solve, we come to you. And after all, in fact, we have started with robbery cases that we've solved over the period. At times, some of them happen 5 years down the line. We make a breakthrough and we work with the robbers to tell us their history of criminality. And they tell us all the cases that they have done some 5 years, some 10 years down the line. And at times, we make contact with these families and tell them that the person who came to your house 5 years ago to steal from you, to rob you, we have arrested the person. And we've done almost about 70 of these cases across the country within the past 1 year. And people get surprised as to why all these years now you are coming to tell us. But that is the way we want to go when it comes to handling some of these cases. Then those that cannot be solved, we then segregate them into the high-profile one, the one that touched the conscience of the good people of this country. And we have put all of them into what we call cold case unit. Until recently, we have none of that, and it's first in the country to have a cold case unit where we keep monitoring these cases and make sure that we follow through it. And we can assure you, trusting God, that based on the work we've done so far, certain high-profile cases that have gone on over time that no breakthrough has happened, we'll soon get there. We'll soon get there. That I can assure you. But we don't want to give any further details on it until we get there. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm satisfied.
All right, so that'll be all for Ministry of the Interior. Honorable Minister, I want to thank you with the heads of the agencies who are here. You are discharged. Gaming Commission will call them, but that will not need the minister to be present.
Thank you very much, but I don't mind. I want to be present because
Okay.
you want to make sure that the right thing is done.
That's fine.
Commissions are more
So
independent.
when we get the dates, we'll
That is
inform
so.
you. All right, thank you very much. You are discharged. Let's have the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, and Ministry of Fisheries. And Ministry of Fisheries.
I, Mustafa Yusuf,
swear by the Almighty God
swear by the Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
that the evidence I shall give before this committee touching the matter in issue
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God. Amen.
Now let's take Ministry of Youth and Sports first. Is there? Honorable Minister, kindly introduce yourselves to the committee.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my name is Mustafa Yusuf, the Minister for Youth and Sports, and also Member of Parliament for Yagaba Kuboro constituency. I'm here with
Honorable Member, there is too much noise in the hall. Please.
With my Chief Director, Chief Accountant, and also Director of Finance and Administration, and I want them to do self-introduction. Thank you.
And my name is Alhaji Hafiz Adam, Chief Director of the Ministry.
My name is Harrison Cases, Director of Finance and Administration of the Ministry.
I'm Irene Sechi, Chief Accountant.
Thank you very much for coming. You are cited in the report, the MDA report for 2019. And the issue is on high cost of air tickets. High cost of air tickets. 300,720 Ghana cedis. And details of the transaction have been put out there on pages 82, 83, and 84. Now, what the auditors observed that the ministry paid a travel and tour limited called Kempon Travel and Tour, an amount of 705,495 Ghana cedis for procurement of air tickets, team, and other officials of the ministry. There was a market survey conducted within the airline industry in 2019, May, which proved that Kempon Travel and Tour Limited, the prices quoted were much higher than the prevailing market price. Now, the survey conducted by the auditors showed that a return flight ticket by KLM, that is Madrid and Accra, Madrid, was 6,279 Ghana cedis, or 1,075 euros in March 2019. But Kempon Travel and Limited, for the same route, 2 years, that June 2017 to, they charged 32,000, which was more than the market price by 328%. So the auditors are saying that the cost of the air ticket charged by the Kempon was too high. Now, management agree with the observation, but they however argued that the original prices of some of the tickets which went up occurred owing to changes in flight bookings. The auditor disagree with management on the grounds that the review of changes should not have only attracted penalties. So the auditors are saying that to ensure effective cost control on air tickets, they urge management to acquaint yourselves with knowledge in procurement and rescheduling of air tickets. That is what the auditors have recommended. Honorable Minister, what do you have to say?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, yes, the observation done by the auditors, like you rightly said in our management, our response to the auditors is true, that the cost might be seem to be higher, but the reason also given by the ministry is that the practice of bookings of tickets by the ministry, because sometimes the national team, the technical team will present the selection of the team members or the players late, because they have to do scouting of various players in their various teams to see who is fit and who will be selected for a particular tournament or a particular match. Sometimes they delay as so short notice, maybe just 1 week, 2 weeks notice to the ministry. Then booking tickets very close, and we all know the industry, the airline industry or the flight ticketing industry. The closer you book, if you are booking a ticket, maybe 3 months in advance, you get it more cheaper than when you are booking a ticket just 2 days to an event. And sometimes to the players, even when they have, the technical team have submitted the full list, there can still be changes because of injuries to the players. For example, if the technical team submit 26 or 30 players, 26 players to the ministries. These are the players that we are taking to Qatar, for example. Then, just 2 weeks or 1 week to the tournament, there is an injury during training time. They have to replace quickly. And in replacement, you need to book a ticket for whichever player that the technical team will recommend to the ministry, or the FA will write to the ministry. And in such circumstances, you get the ticket, the fares very, very high. So these are the reasons that account for higher in prices of tickets for by the ministry. Ever since I assume the office, we've taken steps to ensure that we engage the FA, and I've been telling the FA all the time that irrespective of that, we still have to make sure that we save money. And in doing so, at least even if we know roughly the technical team that is going to coach our national team now. And we know that will be going to Qatar. So we don't wait. The technical team, we should be able to book their tickets by now so and get it cheaper. So that even there are changes, it will be just 1 or 2, which will not be so higher to the states than now. Also, we've also added another leg where we have written to the procurement authority, where we have assigned the procurement authority who have given us approval of certain a number of travel and tour agencies, so that as and when we need tickets, we can call on 3 of them to give us quotations based on the least quotation that we will get. Then we deal with the said travel agency. So these are the steps that we have put together to ensure that there is efficiency and prudent use of state resources. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. So, what of the recommendation that your ministry should have knowledge in ticketing and rescheduling of flight or booking? Is there any schedule officer who has experience in that? Your protocol session.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes, we have applied ourselves to the recommendations of the Auditor General, and our chief accountant was assigned to be in charge of that. And so we even asked him to have a one-day training in one of the ticketing agencies. And since then, he has applied herself to the tax. And then speaking about this particular one, the idea of getting the PPA to give approval of some of our service providers is for us to make it highly competitive, so that we'll get value for money and do not go back to the period where high cost of ticketing was the order. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Chair, thank you. Chair, I'm surprised to hear that the chief accountant is rather the schedule officer on this matter. I think it should be the protocol officer. If you don't have one, you need to have one. And you see, the ticketing is a specialized skill. To be able to book and do reservations, either using Amadeus or Galileo, you need training in it. That's why you can compare. Somebody is going to London, but you can route him through Dubai or direct to London, depending on the flight and the fare. If you don't have that skill, you will not be able to determine it. Even business class ticket, there are subgroups. You have a B, full business, and discounted business. So if the protocol officer is trained in these things, then they can use the in-house fare basis to also compare with what your suppliers will have. Because what the committee and parliament wants is the value for money. If your suppliers will have the best value for a particular route and for a particular class of tickets, why not? If the protocol officer is able to, because everybody is competing for the same airline seats. If the protocol officer is able to procure the seats early, also depending on when the travel time came, they're good. But you need to have one particular officer in charge and not the chief accountant. Chairman, thank you.
Then let me come, please. Chairman, yes, the protocol officer is the one in charge, assisted by the chief accountant. So we have a director of protocol at the ministry, so she's the one in charge of the ticketing, assisted by the chief accountant.
Mr. Chairman, let me say that we have two chief accountants. So the chief accountant is not head of the accounts. So she's only assisting head of the accounts, who is also the chief accountant. As a plan.
Why? Your ministry has two chief accountants. So which of them is in charge?
We have head of accounts and then assistant head of accounts.
Okay.
All chief accountants.
By grade, they will be chief accountant, but the head of the accounts is
one of them is senior. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, in response given by the minister, the matter of the hikes in the prices of ticketing, and as captured in paragraph 170, an instance where a ticket which costs 6,279 Ghana cedis, KLM, could take 32,000 Ghana cedis, 313, and that amounts to about 328%. It is absolutely ridiculous, Honorable Minister, to say the least. Even if it is a first class flight, it will not cost that. And the reason you gave for such hikes, that when a player is injured and you need to airlift such a player, that is understandable. Could you tell this committee the whole of the period for which this audit findings have identified, how many players were engaged in such that you needed to lift them out of this country, and for which reason such an outrageous amount of money was paid for ticketing?
Thank you so much, Chairman. Chairman, the honorable member didn't get me clear. I didn't say the injured players to leave them out. That's not what I said. But what I said is that when you have a team at training camp and sometimes one of the players is injured, you need to replace. And because the time will be too short, maybe if it's just 2 days to a tournament or 2 days to a match, you need to fly the player that is coming to replace. And when you are buying a ticket just a day before, it is high. And we all know that. And that is the industry, the airline industry practice. So it's not outrageous as you may see it. It might be outrageous on the paper, but in reality, if you are buying a ticket to fly tomorrow on a BA, and somebody booked a ticket 3 months ago on a BA, you will not be flying on the same fare.
Honorable, I do understand that it won't be on the same fare, but I'm looking at 6,000 to 32,000.
So what we have to interrogate is on what basis do they get the 6,000 survey? Because this is just a survey that they have done to say it is 6,000. On what basis do they get the 6,000 survey? the auditors have to answer that.
Honorable Minister, the reason why I'm asking this question, nobody is accusing you or the ministry. We are talking about a private entity who takes such monies, the taxpayers' money. And in fact, even if you don't get a ticket and you need to get a ticket today, forget of how much it was, the percentage increase is outrageous. Even if I need a British Air and I need a ticket today, and I need to book for the ticket today, there can't be any over 300% increase. And in fact, we've all been ministers before. So the issue is not about you. It's about that private entity. And as a minister, I think you should be concerned and proper investigation ought to be done. This percentage increase, I'm not looking at the 6,000, but the percentage of 32,000 is completely outrageous.
That is exactly so. That's why I said the ministry, in my earlier response, I said the ministry agree with the auditors in this, but we've put in steps, and those steps include we writing to PPA to get a number of travel and tour agencies, so that anytime we are going to engage at a travel agency to buy tickets, there is value for money. We get the cheapest fare from these three. We have more than 15 of them, and we select whoever gives us the least fare, we will engage going forward. But so we put in steps, but I'm only telling you because of the industry practice they've mentioned, that it is also possible that when you are buying a ticket just a day before a trip or a same day trip, it will be different from when you are buying it maybe earlier, at an earlier date. That's just an information that was...
Minister, that will be all for you. You are discharged. Let's have employment and labor. After that, I'll take Minister of Trade. I'll take trade, then I'll take fisheries. Honorable Minister, kindly introduce yourself. Honorable members, order.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Ignatius Bafowua. I'm Minister for Employment and Labor Relations. I also double as the MP for Sunyane West. I'm here today with some of my officers. But Mr. Chairman, if you permit me, allow me to let them introduce themselves.
Chief Director should start. I'm Dela Saba, Head of Internal Audit.
And I'm Kizito Balance, the Chief Director for the Ministry.
I'm Idris Adam, Deputy Accountant.
All right, thank you. You're welcome. You are citing the report, paragraph 332. Honorable Bauer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Minister, you have been cited for making payments for goods and services totaling 465,099.29 Ghana cedis between December 2017 and August 2018 without attaching the relevant documents, including receipts, to authenticate the payments. Can you explain why these payments were made without the necessary supporting documents?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I thought it is a ministry that has been cited, but not a personal one. But
the ministry.
Yes,
It is because you are the head of the ministry. That is why I'm referring the question to you.
No, you see, this one is being aired live. My constituents are watching me. If you are not very careful, perhaps somebody will go and interpret it to say, "Oh,
Mr. Minister, your ministry has been cited.
Thank you.
For making payments.
Thank you for that correction.
Of 14.
Thank you for that correction.
Your ministry has been cited, not you in person as Honorable Ignatius Balfour, but your ministry, the Ministry of Employment, the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations have been cited for making 40 separate payments for goods and services totaling 465,000 between December 2017 and August 2018 without attaching the relevant documents, including receipts, to authenticate the payments. And there's a table where all those transactions have been put together together with the amounts that have been paid. So could you tell this committee, I mean, how come you pay without the supporting documents?
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, if you allow me, I will defer to my officers to answer this question.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Yeah, the payments were made with the relevant documents. The only thing that was not attached is receipts from the customers or the suppliers. Normally, we do this thing, the payments through the government systems, and we attach SWIFT report that represents that yes, the suppliers have actually been paid. But as is required, we have to actually get receipts from the suppliers, which we have actually done, and the external auditors are here to actually confirm. Thank you very much.
Mr. Finance Officer, if you agree with me that if you make payments, the only document that will show that you have actually made payment to somebody is the receipts. So, I mean, if you say all the documents were attached without minus the receipts, that, I mean, you are trying to say that maybe what the auditor said was not correct, but to downplay the issue of receipts, I don't think it's in order. So, without the, I mean, if you had attached almost every document, you will not be cited in the Auditor General's report.
Honorable Chair, electronic payment is slightly different from physical payment. Usually with electronic payment takes place within the e-platform. So sometimes transfers are done electronically. So it takes an effort for the physical receipt to also come from the recipient. Sometimes, as the auditors rightly observe, it takes a little bit of time between times of payment and times of issuance of the receipt to occur. So usually it takes an effort to be able to trace these recipients to get the receipt. But as we said, the needful has been done, and if you wouldn't mind, we can invite the auditors to attest whether we have received them or not.
Auditor General, can you confirm, because your recommendation was that they should provide the attachments, the absence of which the payments will be disallowed and officers involved such as. So if you have bring us to speed as to how far you've gone back, whether they've submitted the attachments to you.
Mr. Chair, I confirm that they've provided the receipts and they are all correct.
Mr. Chairman, the receipts have been, inspected by the auditors. So that will be all for me.
Mr. Chairman, I want to seek a little clarification. Minister, among the payments that were not authenticated is one on page 161, and is release of funds for the payment of 2017 and 2018 subscription for ALAC. First of all, what is ALAC, and why must the ministry pay their subscriptions?
You know, we have, at the global level, we have ILO, which is the International Labour Organization, which deals with labor-related issues worldwide. The English African version of it is the ALAC. And we are a member of ALAC, so we have subscriptions that we pay annually.
Thank you. He said it's the English African version of whatever. What's the full name of ALAC?
Africa Regional Labor Administration Conference.
Thank you.
So that will be all for the Ministry of and Labor Relations. You are discharged, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Let's have Minister of Trade.
I,
swear by the Almighty God.
Swear by the Almighty God.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
Touching the matter in issue.
Touching the matter in issue.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Honorable Deputy Minister for Trade, what is the Minister himself?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. The Minister is indisposed, and therefore I decided to take.
You are here.
Thanks so much, sir.
Kindly introduce yourselves to the committee.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Michael Ochebefi, MP for New Javin South and Deputy Minister for Trade. Industry. And, okay.
Honorable Chair, my name is Patrick Yaonimo, Chief Director, Ministry of Trade and Industry, sir.
Honorable Chair, my name is Emmanuel Frimpong, Chief Accountant, Ministry of Trade.
My name is Seydou Usman, Chief Internal Auditor, Ministry of Trade.
All right, thank you very much for coming. You are cited in paragraph 389, so Honorable Apak.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the infraction here is titled The Use of Internally Generated Funds Without Parliamentary Approval, and the amount involved is 991,014 Ghana cedis. The auditors indicate that the said amount was internally generated and was used without approval. Have you been able to obtain parliamentary approval to correct this infraction that you ought not to have committed in the first place?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, this is the exact same audit query in the last audit report for which we appeared before your good selves. And Mr. Chairman, we indicated that we had resolved the matter and all such payments were in the NTR account, and you asked the Auditor General to confirm, and they did confirm that we are taking remedial action.
Well, if that were the case, I don't believe the auditors would have indicated. But they are here, so I would like to hear what they have to say with regards to your response. But you were advised to desist from the use of IGF without parliamentary approval. Are you adhering to this advice that the auditors gave?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, strictly, sir.
Can I hear from the auditors with regards to the narrative that the issue has been resolved?
The issue has been resolved, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Chairman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. So we'll go to paragraph 395. Honorable Mills.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Minister, your ministry incurred unjustified expenditure up to the amount of 412,850. And this was for consultancy, refund on medical expenses, support for funerals, and traveling by business class without basis, and approval from the Chief of Staff. We urge management to provide justification for the payment of this amount, failure of which they will be surcharged. Have you provided the justification for this travel?
Yes, Honorable Chair, and the auditors would confirm this. Each of them we have cleared.
Auditors, could you confirm if they've brought the justification?
Honorable Chairman, management responded that it would ensure that payments regarding funerals, medical refunds, are in line with approved policies of the ministry or any relevant policies and circulars to regulate special circumstances, such as delegation to represent the ministry to limit costs.
But it wasn't a letter that they wanted from you. It was from justification from Chief of Staff.
No, we provided that. Sorry. We provided all the individual responses, and then the auditors assisted us with advised us on devising policies for funeral, policies for medical expenses, which they validated. And that is how we resolve the matter. Yeah.
Auditors, have this issue been resolved? Because what I heard earlier means that the issue has been resolved.
Honorable Chairman, the issue has not been resolved. It has not been resolved.
Specific issue? Which specific issue?
That is in terms of the unjustified payments. Now, as at now, the ministry internal policies have not been aligned with the Ministry of Finance guideline on payments relating to funerals and medical refunds.
Mr. Chairman, we've actually issued a directive. We've seized such payments, and we have drafted a policy which they themselves advised on. So, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, the point is that that issue occurred. I mean, I'm talking about the usage of the internally generated fund for those exercises. And that issue already occurred, and they advised that we shouldn't continue that arrangement. So a policy has been drafted now, and it has been approved by the auditors. And that's the case. As it stands now, that's what we know.
Honorable Minister, we are not talking about IGF.
Yeah.
That's not what we are talking about.
I'm just trying to make a point to you that,
excuse me, please.
They are talking about we use some monies that were not supposed to be used. And I'm telling you that this is queries that were raised during the auditing. And they told us to respond. We responded. And they guided us to now come out with guidelines and policies so that in the future, that action will not recur. And it has been done. That is the point I'm making.
Minister, I think we are confusing the issues over here. The issue is, you spent 412,000 Ghana cedis on consultancy, refund of medical expenses, support for funerals, and traveling by business class without basis and approval from Chief of Staff?
Mr. Chairman, we need to seek approval from the Chief of Staff, and it has been done. We mentioned to you earlier on, the Chief Director mentioned to you that that approval was sought from the Chief of Staff. Some of the issues, as stated, were not so clear to us, especially with regards to the travels by business class, whether they were talking about the minister or the minister's subordinate. But in this case, to us, we assume that they were talking about the minister, and the minister is supposed to travel business class. That is supposed to be the case. And so we think that there is nothing wrong with that. But with regards to the other issues, we are saying that those issues have been resolved as far as we are concerned at the ministry.
Minister, this is a very simple issue. They said you should seek approval from Chief of Staff. Have you given the approval from Chief of Staff to the auditors?
We will do that as soon as possible. But as far as we know, we're supposed to get approval from the Chief of Staff. We have done that already. But
and did you give it to the auditors?
The auditors, we have not done that.
So if you haven't given it to the auditors, it means you haven't done it. This has nothing to do with IGF or this back and forth.
Honorable Deputy Minister, do you have a copy of that approval from the Chief of Staff here?
Mr. Chairman, we will provide it in due course, sir.
My question is, do you have it here?
We don't have it here.
So when can you provide it?
Latest by the close of business today.
Today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Give a copy to the auditors to clear you, and then give us also a copy.
Thank you.
So give a copy to the clerk, to the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Let me take Honorable Opoku first.
Mr. Chairman, I think these events have occurred already. So I'm wondering how the Chief of Staff can give approval for events which, yeah, all right, okay. Is that what we are talking about? Yeah?
Honorable Roxon.
Chairman, indeed, that was what I wanted to establish, that whether the approval from the Office of the Chief of Staff came after the finding of fact by the auditors. That's all.
Not the previous one, but we're talking about the subsequent ones, the ones that were, they had issues with the whole arrangement that we have not been doing that. So they wanted us to do that. And that's why we. Thank you.
No, but Honorable Minister, your new explanation is raising a new issue, because the auditors are saying that you make this payment without justification, and that you claim that for the medical refund, you now have a policy on that, as well as the support for funerals. Now, paragraph 397, the auditors are saying that we urge management to provide justification for the payments, failure of which they will be surcharged. Now, the justification here is not something that is something, justification that should cover the expenditure you have already incurred, not for future expenditure. But what you are saying, the answer you are giving me is that the approval you are getting from the Chief of Staff is for subsequent payment, but not this one, which means that this issue is still outstanding. You didn't provide any justification for making those payments. But let's take the issues one by one. Consultancy. If auditors are saying that you didn't have justification for consultancy payment, auditors, what is the reason for you saying that or concluding that there was no justification for consultancy payment. Does it mean that they didn't go through the procurement process in order to procure the consultants? That is why you think that there is no justification for paying the consultants? Auditors.
Honorable Chairman, there was inadequate information in terms of the consultancies. Documentation.
Such as what? Inadequate information. Such as?
Documentation covering the entire process.
Come again?
Documentation covering the entire process.
Documentation covering the entire process. So, Chief Director, do you have those documentation now?
Yes, please, Mr. Chairman. It was on an update on their reports, so we did that, and they also advised on the details that the reports must contain.
So, auditors, have they provided the update on that, and you have with the documentation for the consultancy payment?
Honorable Chairman, not yet.
Mr. Chair, we were asked that subsequent reports we must show that they are thoroughly reporting, and we've done that. So it wasn't that we should bring the documentation on the past activities, but
no, the recommendation is that management is to provide justification for the payment of 412,000, failure of which there will be surcharge. So you have to provide justification for the consultancy payment.
Mr. Chairman, these are not one issue. They are itemized, various itemized.
Yeah, so you
matters.
provide the justification for all of them.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
You didn't do that.
No, we discussed everything with them. They advise on what steps we should take. And
no, but they are here saying that they haven't done that.
Okay.
So who are you going to believe now?
So we'll provide. We'll provide. Okay. We'll revisit the matter, sir.
So this issue is outstanding now. Let's flag it. Clerk, flag this issue, and auditors. Chief Director, can they provide justification for this within 2 weeks?
Thank you, sir.
And auditors, Mr. Doku, can they take this one as one of the outstanding issues, and then you provide us with your findings?
Thank you very much, Chairman. Yes, yes.
Thank you. Let's go to the next one, paragraph 398. Honorable Aka.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your infraction here is that on October 3rd, 2018, you surreptitiously
I like that.
advanced the chief executive of a national board for small-scale industry, Mr. Koshi A. Nyanki, with 100,000 Ghana cedis as salary advance. And the recommendation is that it should be refunded in the shortest possible time. I'd like to know if this money has been refunded. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is similar to the issue I raised, that it was in the last audit query, and we made a presentation here to show that the receipts of a payment had been supplied to the auditors, and the auditor has confirmed receipt.
All right, auditors, you heard them right. They said that they have done the needful, so why is it appearing here again? Thank you.
Honorable Chairman, as at now, the amount has been recovered.
The amount has been recovered, or documents received.
Receipts.
Documents received. They provided the check. The amount has been recovered fully.
The money has been paid.
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
That is it.
So Ms. Koshi has fully refunded the 100,000.
Honorable Chairman, yes. He has
paid.
Recovered.
Okay, thank you.
Surreptitiously.
If somebody started a statement with surreptitiously, he would definitely not believe what has been provided. All right, so let's move on to paragraph 403. Honorable Dakwa.
Thank you, Chairman. So contrary to Section 20 of the Public Procurement Act, management failed to obtain at least the required minimum quotations from different sources in respect of procurements totaling 199,480 Ghana cedis and 20 pesos. Okay. So you're aware that not obtaining at least about 3 quotations, it doesn't lead to you getting value for money, because when you go to one person, you're not able to compare to ensure that you are spending your money judiciously, right? So, I mean, in this case, you accept that that's what happened in respect of the following PVs in the table. You accept that, right? Okay, good. Can you tell us what processes you've put in place to ensure that since this was reported in the 2019 report, you are exercising strong oversight on your procurement processes and ensuring that you're getting multiple quotations from different companies? Can you tell us what processes have been put in place?
First, across the functions of the chief accountant, myself as an approving officer, chief director, and the internal auditor, we have all put in place strict measures to ensure that we have all the procurement documents before processing. With respect to the record of the past transactions, we have also, where we can retrieve the existing documents, we've also updated our documentation with that.
Can you please elaborate? Retrieve what documentation? You didn't go to multiple sources, you went to one. Yeah. So what documentation are you retrieving?
The issue was on our inability to frequently update our list of suppliers. Yes. So, as the internal auditor is assuring, we did provide the procurement documents subsequently. Yes. Yes. One of the reasons why they raised it was the delay in providing the document from the procurement team. Yeah.
All right, auditors, are you satisfied with what he's saying? He's saying they subsequently provided the required documentation to you.
Honorable Chairman, they provided it. Subsequently, they provided it.
Okay, all right. I think we've all accepted that the infraction was made and the right processes have been put in place. The auditors are satisfied, so. Chairman. Well, I leave it to the chair when it comes to prosecution. So the chair, once the infraction has been made and they've accepted it, I yield to the chairman. No, I'm not recommending. Chairman will recommend.
Thank you, Honorable Dakwa. Looking at the 5 items involved, the item 4, which is the hotel bill, and then the item 5, well, the issue about procuring 3 quotations will actually not be necessary. But item 1, 2, and 3, payment for purchase of customized A4 sheets. What is that customized A4 sheets?
I think those A4 sheets that have been watermarked, and we have ceased that practice actually. We ceased that practice subsequently.
And by if it's watermark one or customized, you could have gotten a quotation from 3 different printers.
I think for that we subsequently provided the quotations. For the hotel, we were asked to prepare an agreement and sign with hotels that.
No, I'm not even asking about the hotel.
Right.
I'm familiar with that.
Yes. I need to defer
So
to the auditors, but...
So why didn't you provide the quotations at the time of the audit? Use a mic, please.
During the audit process, quite a lot of documentation is provided, and where there are gaps, we fill in those gaps, sir.
No, but they reported that you did not provide quotation. That is why it found its way into the report. Then payment for supply of APC smart UPS 10 kilowatts.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that the auditor said subsequently they are satisfied with the documentation provided.
I heard her. I heard her, but I want to interrogate you.
First, is to furiously insist that even if they don't find the document, they have to look through and find out whether it was provided, and they'll confirm to that the process, whatever it is, I make sure that they try and retrieve the document, because typically it goes through 3 people, and if we haven't seen that process, I'm quite sure we will not authorize payment. So we,
let's move on to paragraph 3A6. That's paragraph 3A6. That's energy. Okay, that's energy. So we are done. We are done with the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, you are discharged. Let's have Ministry of Fisheries. So, Minister, you are discharged.
Thank you very much, sir.
Let's have Fisheries.
I swear by the Almighty God.
Swear by the Almighty God.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
That the evidence I shall give before this committee.
Touching the matter in issue.
Touching the matter in issue. Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Honorable Minister, you're welcome. Kindly introduce yourselves to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members of the committee. Mr. Chairman, my name is Mavis Hawa Kumsin, MP for Awutu Senior East, and a Minister for Fisheries and Agriculture Development. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, I'm Kwesi Amuhimson, the Chief Director of the Ministry. Thank you very much.
Honorable Chair, I'm Fred Texan, Chief Accountant of the Ministry.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Mr. Banuayele,
Chief Accountant of the Fisheries Commission.
Honorable Chair, my name is Enoch Bueduamu, Deputy Director, Ministry of Fisheries.
Honorable Chair, my name is Paul Bannerman, Deputy Executive Director, Fisheries Commission.
Thank you very much. You are welcome. We'll start straight in the report, the MDA report, on page 137, paragraph 274. And Honorable Rankin will start.
Thank you, Chairman. The infraction is failure to obtain invoices to cover VAT and NHIL. Amount involved is 20,785. 83. Thank you, Chairman. We noted that management paid a total amount of 172,000, inclusive of VAT and HL of 20,782 cedi 60 pesos. Three service providers but failed to obtain VAT and HI invoices to cover the amount. The auditors recommended that you should obtain these VAT invoices and also pay the same, the taxes involved to the state. Has it been done?
Yes, Honorable Chairman, it has been done and has been verified by the auditors. Thank you very much.
Auditors, can you confirm that the state has received its money?
Yes, Honorable Chair. We have verified and obtained all the documents.
Thank you, Chairman. That will be all for me.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to paragraph 277. Honorable Roxon.
Chairman, thank you. Chairman, in 2019, the auditors have observed that contrary to Regulation 289 of the Financial Administration Regulations 2004, some staffs were given monies to undertake some official duties and they had to retire the impress given. But out of, Chairman, out of about 1.6 million given and $9,989, the auditors have observed that only 872,119.28 was retired, leaving a balance of over 800,000 to be retired. They also observed that the dollars given to them to undertake these trips, no amount of that money was retired at all. Now, their recommendation is that the monies be recovered. We are in 2022, July. I want to find out what the situation is.
Yes, Honorable Chair. The funds have been retired appropriately, and the auditors have verified that. Thank you very much.
Before I get to the auditors, when was this retirement done? After the audit observation?
Yes, it was done after the audit observation.
Okay, auditors, have you received or have they accounted for 816,000 as well as the nearly $10,000?
Yes, Honorable Chair. We have recovered the all returned amounts from them, and the documents are there for verification.
Chairman, I want to understand, you have recovered the amount?
The amount has been recovered, and the documents supporting them have also been verified by us.
Your report says that you noted that 872,000 was retired, which means you saw supporting documents and all. what was left was 816,000 plus the dollars. Is it your case that you have recovered the money, you got the money back as unspent, or it was spent but the necessary documents were provided to justify?
Supporting the monies and the transactions have been recovered from the ministry.
Chairman, thank you.
Those documents were not recovered, they were provided. Provided by the auditees. It is money which is recovered. Okay? All right, so we'll move to the next one. Paragraph 282, Honorable Bauer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director, this paragraph 282 deals with unsupported payments. You made payments on 58 PVs, 18 by the head office, and then 40 by the Fisheries Commission, without the necessary supporting documents, totaling 7,540,576 Ghana cedis, and then $11,742. These payments were not supported with the relevant payment documents to authenticate the transactions. And there's a table below that shows these transactions. So the recommendation is that you should authenticate the payments so that the PVs are properly acquainted with the relevant attachments, failure of which the amount should be surcharged against the approving officers and the beneficiaries. So I would like to find out, have you now been able to acquit these 58 PVs?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. In connection with the unsupported PVs, we've been able to retrieve some, not all, but when our attention was drawn to this fact, after the exit conference, we provided some information, but later on we realized that it was, so we were able to go back to retrieve some of the PVs, not all. And the reason for not getting all, we had a little challenge. There was, in fact, it used to be one. The ministry and the commission used to be one, and so along the line, they were decoupled, So in the process of the movement, some of the PVs got mixed up. So when our attention was drawn after the exit conference, we thought we had done with the thing, but when our attention was drawn that this issue was ending, we went back to try and see whether we could. All the documents that they've archived, semi-archived, so that we could get them, so that the auditors will go through. So we got some, not all, I must say, Mr. Chairman. We got all. And those that we've given to the auditors to certify for us. So in fact, in view of this, or in connection with it, we've actually asked, because of the challenge in movement of the document, we've asked PRAD, to come and sort out that of the ministry and the commission, so that we could just get those ones that are left, so that the auditors will do the due diligence for us, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
I believe you are the finance officer.
I'm the chief accountant.
You are the chief
accountant.
And you know that before PVs are raised and payments are made, you need to get the necessary supporting documents. Is that not so?
Yes, sir.
And then in your answer, you were trying to say that, but this the auditors have separated them. They've stated that of the ministry, and they've stated that of the Fisheries Commission. So out of the 58 PVs, how many of them have you gotten? And then what are their face values? And then let us know the remaining.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think we've been able to retrieve about 32 PVs. We'll be able to retrieve about 32 PVs, which we have given to the auditors. I must add, yes, I'm the chief accountant. I came there just barely 6-7 months ago. But that's not to say that. But when we got the information, and we realized that there was a challenge. You know, that's how we asked Brad to come the document. Well, it used to be one ministry, you know. But when we so to go to the seminar account so that they can arrange the document so that we could. It was out of that we even got this 32. But actually we are in the process. They haven't finished yet, so we could get the rest and give it to the auditors to certify them for us. Thank you, Chairman.
The 32 that you've gotten, is it from the Fisheries Commission or from the headquarters?
Thank you, Chairman. It's from the Fisheries Commission.
The Fisheries Commission?
Yes, Chairman.
So out of the ministry's own, the 18 PVs, you haven't gotten any?
The ministry, I think we retrieved that one too, because some of the information were carried to the ministry. Yes, I think we've gotten that of the ministry too.
Chief Accountant, I said we had 18 PVs for the ministry itself, and then 40 for the Fisheries Commission. The 32 that you've gotten now, how many belongs to the ministry and how many belongs to the Fisheries Commission?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Actually, we haven't looked at we just got 32 PVs and given it to the auditors to look at. I mean, we have to look at this, which one belongs to the ministry. Well, it used to be one. We were paying everything as one ministry, you know, as a cost center, let me put it that way. But we haven't actually taken the time to see whether this PV is for the ministry or it's from the commission. Well,
what is the value of the 32 PVs?
We got about 615.
650,000?
Is it 15?
And the amount on the PVs is 7,540,000 and then 11,742 USD. So you have not gone anywhere. We still have an outstanding of over 7 million Ghana cedis that you are not able to authenticate.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Okay, I've just been informed that the ministry one, some of the PVs belong to the ministry. They did some. They also were able to retrieve some of the PVs. That's what my colleague has just informed me about.
The PVs that you retrieve, have you shown them to the auditors?
Those that we have found.
Have you shown them to the auditors?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Auditors, have you seen those PVs that they claim they have retrieved? After speaking, put off your mic.
Honorable Chair, with regards to the aquaculture, we have retrieved 18 PVs.
18 PVs.
Yes.
Which cover the amount for the ministry, which is 598,894 Ghana cedis, 6 pesos. And then also 1,970,557 Ghana cedis, 82 pesos, and $11,742. Yes. You have retrieved the PV for all these ones.
Yes.
And are you satisfied?
Yes, Honorable Chair. Yeah,
now go to the Fisheries Commission.
Are yet to provide those documents for verification.
Now, Chief Accountant.
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Have you claim that you retrieved 32 of the the fisheries PVs. Have you provided those 32 PV to the auditors?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The 32 PVs, yes, some were verified by certified by the auditors.
Auditors, I'm coming back to you again. The chief accountant claimed that the 32 PV they retrieved for Fishery Commission, you have cited some of them and have cleared them. Is that the case?
No, Honorable Chair. I have not cited anything.
Chief Accountant, are you saying that, are you telling this committee that because we are not there, you can come and say anything and get scot-free? Is that what you want to tell us?
No, Honorable Chair.
Then why are you saying that you gave them to the auditors, and the auditors are claiming they have not? So who are we going to believe? You or the auditors?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think we have to believe the auditor. I think the challenge is she's the head of the sector. Maybe we have to go back and see the schedule so that we can.
So once we are to believe the auditor, it means that you told the committee a lie.
No, Honorable Chair.
Then
we have submitted, but
what do you want me to do? How do you want me to do?
Then I withdraw, Honorable Chair.
You told the committee a lie.
I withdraw, Honorable Chair.
Because you yourself said we should believe the auditor. So we should not believe you. So you told us a lie.
Sorry, I withdraw, Honorable Chair.
Now, the issue about the ministry has been cleared. It's now left with the issue of the Fisheries Commission, which has a total amount of 4 million plus 948,000. That will give us closely to 5 million outstanding, which is covered by 40 payment vouchers. Now, Mr. Doku, the directive here is that immediately the Fisheries Commission should provide the PVs that they have recovered or found to the auditors. Let the auditors verify them, certify themselves, let us know the face value of those PVs. Then we deduct that money from the outstanding figure will surcharge the ministry, the Fisheries Commission.
Thank you, Chair. We are guided.
Thank you. Let's move on to paragraph 286. Honorable Apak.
Thank you, Chairman. The issue in question has to do with outstanding revenue on 5 cold store facilities. According to the auditors, these were facilities that were given out to 5 companies at 31,477 and 86 pesos per month. Apparently, the ministry terminated the contract with the said companies on March the 1st, 2019. And the auditors have recommended that the ministry should put in the necessary measures to ensure that the said amount owed by the 5 companies, which cumulatively is recorded as 5,301,730 Ghana cedis, 27 pesos. The auditors have also urged management to speed up the takeover process and ensure that all the equipment are handed to the ministry. I want to know whether these monies have since been recovered.
Honorable Chair, let me begin by saying that we've not been able to recover the said amount. The facilities were put in fishing communities to assist them with their fishing operations, especially production of ice blocks and refrigeration facilities for the catch they bring to the shore. But when the plants were contracted out, probably what the contracting parties were not mindful of was the high rent which was charged for the facilities. And therefore, those who took the contract could not satisfy those requirements. The rational thing for them to do was to have come back quickly to say that we can't run the on these rental charges. For instance, if you took the Pram one, it was given to the community and the district assembly. And one of the factors which was disturbing them was high electricity tariffs.
There is no Pram in the report. Too.
Yes, I'm trying to give a background.
Can you set an example using the companies in the report?
Give me the write-up in the one you had.
The locations are Nyanyano Coastal.
Yes, Nyanyano.
Romantin, Hafasini, New Takrady, and Shama.
Shama, yes. If the ones at Kromanti and Nyanyano were never operated. So it was a case that you could not get any rent from those facilities. But
okay, let's take them one by one. They were never operated.
Yes.
But you entered the contract with the company, that is
yes.
Maches AO Cranok Limited.
Yes.
Is the one who took the Nyanyano and then the Kromansin one.
Yes, please.
You enter into contract with them?
Yes, please.
You sign contract with the company?
Yes, please.
He had agreed to pay a rental of 31,477 Ghana cedis a month.
Yes.
He never operated.
Yes, please.
Did he come back to you to say that I can't operate, therefore we should abrogate the contracts?
Yes, some verbal. You see,
verbal?
Honorable Chair, some verbal engagements went on. But
why are you talking about verbal here? How can we believe the verbal communication? Is it there to show me that the verbal, this is the discussion?
No. So what I'm saying is this, that we should have taken action to quickly terminate those contracts as recommended by the auditors. So at the time that that decision was taken with the advice of the AG, these rents had accrued. So probably we didn't take those steps quickly in time to avert the situation that is before us this morning. But since then, as recommended by the auditors, the contracts were terminated per the advice of the Attorney General's office, and then it's been given out to new CPRO, a new company, yes, which has done which has paid the commitment fee and has undertaken an audit of the facilities and is prepared to import the necessary equipment to replace the parts which have gone rusty.
Well, the narrative is getting too long. We are dealing with documents, and we are dealing with the information contained in those documents. And I believe that if you had made all of this information available to the auditors, perhaps this would not be captured. The reason why we are finding this narrative difficult to believe is that you allowed this to go on when you knew that these companies didn't have the capacity to operate. And you are here telling us that there was a verbal communication to the effect that they were incapable of meeting the obligations. I mean, how do you truly expect us to believe that?
is very difficult because, you know, there's a contract. And so if one party is unable to fulfill its obligations, we all know the processes of abrogating a contract. You don't have anything to show, and you want us to believe a verbal communication between you and then the owners of these companies which have reneged on their part of the contractual agreement. Chairman, this issue is very dicey. And I think that we ought to be asking for official documents to be able to make a proper assessment of what we are being told by the ministry. And I think I'll yield this to you. I hear Minister wants to speak.
The Minister talk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, myself, my Chief Director, and the accountants, we are all new in the ministry. Those transactions were done when we were not there. That was 2015, 2016. And it has just come to our notice, and we are working on it. It is something that we are not reliant on. We are working on it to make sure that the right thing is done. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Honorable Minister, if you look at the duration of these contracts for store and then the Cromantin, they are 35 months, almost 3 years. The rest are 34 and 31, so they are all within the range of 3 years. It was in March 2019 when the ministry terminated the contracts. So it means that the whole of 2018, the whole of 2017, that's 2 years, plus 2 months in 2019. So it is only part of 2016. But you are mentioning 2015, 2016. 2015 doesn't come in at all. Because if the contract were terminated in March 2019, and it's, let's say, 3-year contract. So the whole of 2018, the whole of 2017, that's 2 years. So part of 2016 is involved in this matter. Is that not the case?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So the 2015 should not come in?
The contract was actually signed in 2015.
I'm reading what is here. You did not provide me any document to that effect, that it was signed in 2015. But yes, I'm reading what the auditors have reported on, that the abrogation, the termination was done in 2019. And the duration is 35 months. So if you work it back, it falls in 2016, not 2015. Okay? But those people were in the ministry for 2017, 2018, before deciding in March 2019 to terminate the contract. And the one who probably might not have done proper work. They sat down, the companies were not working, so it means that the ministry just had the cold stores there, they were not working for all this period, causing financial loss to the states. What is the state of these cold stores now? As we speak today, 2022, what is the state of these cold stores? Honorable Minister.
Honorable Chairman, a little background will help with this understanding the project. In 2017, 2017 the constructions were finished, but they were contracted out in 2016. They were given out in 2016. So they had stayed there for almost 8 years before they were given out. So when, yes, they were finished in 2017 to 2007. And it was only in 2016 that these contracts were given that you guys should go ahead and work. So the gentlemen, the people took the work and started working on it. But immediately they started operating, they realized there were frequent breakdowns. They were frequent, and then electricity consumption was very, very high. So there were this back and forth, try and work on it, we'll look at it. But realized that they were not, in fact, in the contract, they were supposed to have about 3-month moratorium where they could look at it before they will repay. So within these 2 years was back and forth. There was even discussions with trying to get Ministry of Energy to help provide a subsidized rate, but it did not work. So in 2018, towards the ending, I think the auditors had recommended that looking at things the way it's going, we should just terminate the contract and look at people who can better. So on advice of AG, the contracts were terminated. Currently, as the Chief Director said, we've received proposals, and then new companies have come on board. They have assessed the projects as they are, and then they have laid down a roadmap on how they will finish the project, importing various parts to get it refurbished. So most of them, they are at standstill. They are not working. It was Shama that was working up to late last year, but even that one also had a lot of challenges. But basically, yeah.
My question on the state of the coasters currently has not been answered.
Mr. Chair, currently none of them is operational because they are all have been shut down, looking at refurbishment by the new managing firm that have taken over. So they have laid down plans to get parts imported because the condensers, all they are a refrigeration system, so you need to get them imported and then start operational. So I think the last checkup we said they are supposed to start operation in this July. The company were waiting for the items to be shipped and then start operation this July.
Honorable Roxy.
And Honorable, another challenge is the power, the cost of electricity for these this plant is a challenge, it's a problem.
We have other coasters that are operating. They're also having the same electricity cost. Why should this be a problem for the one that government owns?
Honorable, the guess is this: most of these are located in rural areas, Shama, Pram, Hafasni. Yeah, I wouldn't say, but looking at traffic in terms of volumes of work, volumes of activities compared to places like Tema, Accra, where you get the overhead cost and be able to get profit. These areas comparably are lower in terms of. So we should look at maybe lower tariffs for these areas.
So it was a bad business to locate those areas. So the bad business. But Nyanyano here is not a rural area. And then New Takrady. Shama. I don't know Chromantin. Oh, okay. Is it a bad business, Honorable Minister?
Mr. Chairman, no, please. But as he rightly mentioned, looking at the businesses there, it's difficult for people to pay for the market price. And so people don't patronize. And that is also, in fact, quite recently, Pampram tried to even come on board. They were able to operate just about 3 months. And as we speak, they have shut down the facility again just because of cost of electricity. Thank you.
So it's a bad business. It's a bad business. So, per your assessment as a ministry, do you think that the 5.3 million is recoverable?
No, Mr. Chairman, please.
So what are you going to do about that? You can't recover it. What are you going to do? What steps will you take?
Mr. Chairman, it's our prayer that you write it off because we cannot retrieve it. Thank you.
Aziz. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would like to find out from the minister if the amount for renting these facilities are too high for businessmen. It's possibly the rent is too high. That's why when they come for those facilities, at the end they find it difficult paying and they have to shut down. If the minister can throw more light on the amount and the payment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, at that time it was high because they were supposed to pay 31,477 Ghana cedi a month. So at that time it was very high for them. Thank you.
But the recent one at Pram, what was the arrangement between the ministry and the assembly? Because according to the officers, one of your officers, they try operating it, and they did it for only 3 months, and then they shut down. What was the arrangement between the ministry and the one who operated it, if it is assembly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, the ministry and the assembly had a discussion that if they could work on it, so they decided to do it. And when, as I said, when they started with the work, just barely 2-3 months, they couldn't continue. And they came back to tell us about the tariff. So it has been shut down again. Assembly could not also take over.
Did you agree that they also pay some rentals monthly to the ministry?
Mr. Chairman, we asked them to try. If it is visible, then we could go into a contract. So we did not do any contract. That's why we couldn't give.
It means that even if we give it to them at a zero rate, they will still not be able to operate. Because the 2-3 months that they operated, they didn't bring any money to the ministry, yet they could not even run it. Isn't the case?
Mr. Chairman, they complain about the tariff. So the little that they got, they used to pay the electricity. And if something is done about the cost of electricity, I think we can.
I'm saying that if you give it to them just to operate and raise revenue, and you share that revenue with them, would they be able to operate? You not give them any tariff to pay, but they should operate and make profits. Can they operate and make profits?
Mr. Chairman, if I understood you, it means electricity bill.
No. I'm talking about the renter, the tariff that which was charged 31,000 in the past. Assuming you give it to them, no tariff, just operates. Whatever profit you generate, there will be sharing formula between them and then the ministry. Would they be able to do that?
Mr. Chairman, until the electricity cost is something is done about it, they can't. Thank you.
So why don't we dispose of those facilities, sell it to private people who can manage it?
Mr. Chairman, if you advise so, we will look at it. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Roxon.
Chair, thank you. Chair, as someone from a fishing community and a constituency that is largely fishing, as an activity. I take interest in some of these things. I know that these were special purpose projects that your ministry cited for these communities to serve some purpose. One, to help the women when they get a catch, they can store them and trade and sell them as and when the demand comes, and also to prevent glut, so that when there's a bumper catch, there's a lot of fish in the lean season, the people don't have any fish at all. Now, I heard you say that you have gone for a new management company to manage some of these facilities. Now, is it possible to look at the cost of operation, first of all? That could also count for some of the high operational costs. How are you reviewing the cost of operation? Because if a private entity want to come in, they will be making profit, but they will be declaring high operational costs to eat into the profit. So they tell you they are not making money. But when the business as a model can actually make profit. So if I have this in Germany, I wouldn't let anybody take it away. So I think that the various communities where they are cited, we should have a way of letting it function. If it's not for purposes of making too much profit, even if they can break even, they serve a certain purpose for the people. Chairman, that would be my comment on the matter. They also serve as a source of employment for the youth, those who don't do the fishing, those who are, they get employed, 5, 6, 7 people work in the facilities. It generates some income for their families. So I think we should find a way of letting it work if it can break even. Thank you.
Honorable Papa, is your question? So,
yes, so let me just conclude with the additional recommendation by the auditors, where they said that the ministry should advertise for engagement of managers for the cold store. But the more important thing is that they said, meanwhile, through the Attorney General, they said they would start legal proceedings to recover the outstanding monies from the operators. This is what you said, and the auditors have captured it. But from the minister's plea, it looks like this is a lost cause. But what I want to know is if indeed contact has been made with regards to what you said you would do. Has the AG been involved, and what has been his recommendation?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The AG just advised that we should terminate the contract, which we did. Thank
you. He didn't say anything about proceedings to recover the outstanding monies from the operators?
No, please.
Did you seek his support in this regard?
Chair, we didn't go back to the AG after he sent us the response. Thank you.
Chairman, I yield to you.
I think, Honorable, that it is obvious, clearly, that this debt cannot be recovered. And the ministry will also not be in position to operate the cold stores. And this cold store cannot be standing there and losing value. So I think that we'll have to recommend, if the House adopt our report, we'll have to recommend for the ministry to dispose of these assets. At least they could get some money and put it into something else, rather than the structure standing there without getting any income or returns on them. All right, so that's what we'll do. Clerk, take notes that will make a recommendation for disposal of these assets. Let's move to the next one, paragraph 291. Honorable Mills.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Now, Chief Director, you see, I think this one is for Chief Accountant. Revenue checks not credited into the IGF account. 5.1 million Ghana cedis and 21,000 US dollars. Have these checks been credited into the account?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Yes, these checks have been credited to the account. We've submitted the bank statement order to the auditors.
But you see, there's a credibility issue. If you read paragraph 295 of the report, it says management in a response stated that the uncredited checks and transfers amounting to 5.1 million, then $21,000 were duly paid into the Fisheries Development Fund. Now, if you go to 296, it says, however, our follow-up on the response by management revealed that the total amount had not been paid. Do you have any evidence that you've paid, this money has been paid?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We've submitted everything to the external auditors. But the account has been credited.
Auditors, have they now paid these amounts into the IGF?
Yes, Honorable Chair. All the amounts have been paid and the bank statements have been obtained.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. But don't let us make statements when we know the statements are false.
Thank you very much. Let's go to the last one for Ministry of Fisheries. Paragraph 297. Honorable Queenster.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Non-performance of contracts under EFPPL agreement. The ministry entered an agreement with Raphael Spectrum Company Limited to provide management for the operations of the fish processing plant, poultry feed plant, and ice block machine. And they were given a loan of 10.3 million facility. They were supposed to be paying at the first day of every month. But for more than 2 years after the contract, the company is yet to start its monthly payment per the contract. The visit of the auditors realized that the plant had even been shut down. And the auditors asked that the management put in appropriate measures to recover the amount due the ministry. What have you put in place to make sure the amount is recovered?
Mr. Chair, the fish processing plant is supposed to be made up of, as they said, poultry there's also ice block. But the challenge was that when the project started and the construction had been given, it was realized that effluent treatment plant, a plant that will help after every waste has been created, you can treat the waste, was not included in the project. So it became difficult even after the contract was signed, because it can't operate to the full capacity. So he had to just work with the ice block, and even the ice making plant was also getting difficulty in getting people, the locality, to come and buy and pay it on time. So after the audit, he was advised to review the operations of the facility and bring a proposal on how we can get the machine operation. So they brought the proposal, we submitted to our consultant to look at it again. And then from discussions, we realized that we need to get the effluent treatment plant. Without it, you can't operate the plant or to even get EPA permits, even to work on the machines. Additionally, there were issues with the condensers where we realized that they were using inferior quality, so that they had to rechange the whole thing. So the first phase cost about 7.2 million, 7.4, sorry. Then the whole credit was about 10 million. So it left about 2.6. Yeah, 11 million. So it left about 2.6. The proposal has been put forward to the Indian government to use the phase two, phase two to correct these anomalies and get the facilities running. There's also the need to get a warehouse so that when we produce in bulk, we can store there. So the proposal has been sent to the Indian government. We followed up with the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and even the Ghana High Commission in India, and even the Indian High Commission to ensure that we get the phase two to start get the project going. It is then that we can be able to retrieve, get the project functioning, and be able to get money for the project.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I can also ask, are we on the same level? Are we talking about the one at Elmina?
Yes, please.
Okay. So what happens to where is the 2 million?
It's a credit, so it is only when you are able to utilize it. So we were not able to utilize all the 11 million. So the 2.6 is still with the Indian government that they are supposed to give to us. So they were asking for proposals, technical and financial proposals on how to use the money. So we sent it to them so that we can get the whole project back again. It's a 10K project. They brought a consultant from India to help us do the technical and financial proposal to be able to get it approved.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
This fishing processing plant is in my constituency. Now, do you mean to tell me that the ministry, you had a consultant for this project?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Now, the consultant, when they were constructing this, they didn't realize that they didn't have the parts that they were supposed to bring to construct this in the community?
Honorable, the challenge with that contract was that the contract was signed before a consultant was brought in. That was in 2009. And the project started around 2013. So when the consultant came in, the first thing he pointed at was a effluent treatment plan. So but the contract had already been signed. And the money, so the contractor was like, well, this thing is a different thing together. It's not in the design. So you can't ask me to do something I have not been asked to, and I have not been paid to do. So that was where the discussion for phase two started talking about, because we need to, without the effluent treatment plant, then there was not going to be any project.
Were you there when this contract was signed?
2009, I wasn't there. But at the initial stage in 2014, when I came to the ministry, the construction had begun, and the issue there was also always this confrontation between the consultant from India, who was for the ministry, and the contractor, because the contractor was Indian, the consultant was Indian. So he was advising us, and that issues were raised, and that the contractor was insistent that you gave me a contract to deliver this, you didn't add effluent treatment plant, you have to get it, else I can't do anything.
You see, my issue with most of these ministries, regardless of whoever the minister is, whenever we get into these contracts, do we consult people who have knowledge about it to look at these contracts and find out that whatever they are signing is the right thing to sign? We wait till another government or another minister, and then we say, oh, this one wasn't done properly. But it's costing us Ghana. That fish processing plant is sitting out there. It's not hiring. They haven't hired anybody. Look, we use about 10 million, right?
7.
That's 10 million down the drain. 10 million US dollars down the drain. What are we doing to our dear country? So now what do we do with that building out there?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we have engaged the Indian High Commission. That's why they brought in the consultant to go around and assess the project again. So we are still in discussion as how to get the remaining 2.6 million to do the rest of the project, the outstanding issues to solve it, and then we get the facility put in use. Thank you.
So, Madam, with the extra $2 million plus, will it be able to fix the problem that should have been done before this thing was?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As at last year, yes, but this year I can't tell. But even because of that, when I engaged the High Commission, I told him that in case we are not able to, the money is not able to solve the rest of the problem, they should still come in to support us. And they have given us that assurance. So we are still talking with the Indian High Commission.
How long will we be talking with the Indian High Commission? How long?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I said, they brought in the consultant to do the assessment. So now it's left to us to assess the money. So we have to go through finance and foreign affairs.
So what
to get
action have you taken as a ministry?
We have written to the High Commissioner. We've given the outcome of the proposal from the consultant to foreign affairs and finance.
Are you going to budget for it in your budget for 2023? Because we're in July. November budget is coming. Next year's budget is coming. So I will not ask whether you have budgeted for it in 2022 budget. Are you going to budget for it now in the 2023 budget so that this will not be continuous talking, no action?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I mentioned, we have engaged Finance Ministry. And this is coming from Finance Ministry because it's a facility. So we have given them the proposal. We are also working with the officers from the Finance Ministry. So I believe they will add it to the 2023 budget. Thank you.
You should also budget it in your sector budget.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if you are
it's going to be a loan facility. But if you don't budget for it, the ministry will not do it for you. You budget for it, the ministry approve of it, then they procure the loan for you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we'll do that. Thank you.
I believe there are experts in your ministry, Ministry of Fisheries, and therefore this agreement or this contract, they might have looked at the feasibility of it and all that. Can you tell me now that this project is still feasible? In view of the fact that we have spent about $8 million already on it since the contract was signed. Do you really think we can bring it to fruition and get something out of it?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, if all the necessary outstanding has been resolved, is resolved, it will be fruition. Thank you.
That's why I said I believe you have experts in your ministry who look at this project and its technicality and everything, and signed a contract in 2016. So, as it stands now, I feel that we might lose the money. Because are you saying all the necessary issues were not taken into consideration before we signed we took the loan to do this project?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This project was one of the issues I took up immediately I assumed office as the Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture Development. And so I've been engaging the High Commissioner and the officers from the Ministry of Finance. They have been very cooperative. So from the technical people from my ministry have given me the assurance that if we are able to access this 2.6 million, but that is why we even brought in the consultant who was already on this project. For the contractor, we have not contacted him. And even the High Commissioner has advised that he may not also be happy to even work with the same contractor again because of the behavior he put up during the project. But the consultant came to Ghana from India to do the assessment and is giving us the assurance, both Fisheries Ministry and Finance Ministry, that when we are able to do the outstanding works, we'll be able to operationalize the
Excuse me,
plant.
so why is it, what is holding the money? Is it the Indian government that is not prepared to advance the money anymore, or is it our government that is not prepared to take the money anymore? Because their consultant has been there to look at it and say that we need $2 million to finish and to work in. What is holding the money?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is the process which is taking so much time from the Indian side of contracts. With that of Ghana, we are ready. So we are waiting for the Indians to, because we have done, all the proposal has been done and submitted to them through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and also the Ministry of Finance. So we are waiting for the Indian, and the process is delaying on that part. But they have given us the assurance that they will take it up with us. Thank you.
Madam, I appreciate all your effort that you are putting in this, because the government is building a small fishing harbor over there that we hope will increase the catch that we get in Elmina. And this fish processing plant being there would really help us out quite a lot. And as the Member of Parliament over there, I'm ready to do any legwork for you locally or whatever I can do to help, because we are just trying to provide jobs for the people and also provide food that we don't have right now. Thank you very much, Madam.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Yeah, so we recommend that you make provision for it in the budget so that the project can continue, so that government can benefit and the people in the area can also benefit. So clerk, take note that I will make a recommendation that the ministry provide budgets, make a budget provision in 2023 budget. Thank you very much. That will be all for the ministry. We're going to discharge you based on the outstanding issues in terms of the PVs that you are supposed to submit to the auditors for verification. On that note, you are discharged.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We are so grateful. Thank
That's
you.
our Ministry of Lands.
I,
Benito Usubio,
swear by the Almighty God
swear by the Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
that the evidence I shall give before this
touching the matter in issue,
touching the matter in issue,
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Minister, for. Oh, okay.
I,
Joseph Ansan,
swear by the Almighty God,
swear by the Almighty God,
that the evidence I shall give before this committee,
that the evidence that I shall give before this committee,
touching the matter in issue,
touching the matter in issue,
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Honorable Minister, can you introduce yourselves to the committee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my name is Honorable Benito Usubio, MP for Achuman Wabieja North, and Deputy Minister at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, responsible for lands and forestry. I have with me the administrator, and she will do a self-introduction.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Honorable Chair, my name is Mame Ama Edumaziakwa. I'm the administrator of Stu Lands.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My name is Joseph Ansan, the Chief Accountant of the Office of Administrator of Stu Lands.
Honorable Chair, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Geoffrey Osafo Osei, a Chief Stu Lands Officer at the Office of the Administrator of Stu Lands. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. You have only one issue, and I hope we'll just trash it out. It's about rents owed the administrator of Stuland on the farmlands on the ground rents. The recommendation is that you should recover the money. The amount is 71,616.75 pesos. Have you been able to recover the money?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I would see to the administrator of Stu Lands to answer this question.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The rent that is due the office, which is the amount of 71,606.75 pesos, 41,894.41 pesos out of that has been recovered. This rent was due the office for the period between 2016 to 2018, and these were farm rents and ground rents coming from 3 districts: Achim Swedro, New Ebrim, New Odan, Achim Odan, Akim Swedro, and the total amount, as I've said, 41,000 of this has been recovered. And we're still ongoing. In fact, we are working and recovering more every time. Honorable Chair, what we have been doing is we've been sending them to the courts because our law does not give us the opportunity to prosecute. So we have arrangements with local magistrates where we send them to collect our rents for us. We have also reported some of them to the traditional authorities because you know that rent is an agreement between the traditional heads and the various tenants. So we have reported some, and we've started also rewriting our law so that we will have the mandate to prosecute some of these people. So these are some of the things that we have been doing whilst trying to recover the money. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. Kindly mention the figure you recovered again. 41,000.
41,894 cedis, 41 pesos, please.
Okay. And you are making the effort to retrieve the rest?
Yes, please, Honorable.
Okay. Now, the last time there was an issue on the banking of the revenue collected. And you talk about now they want to encourage them using Momo. How is it working?
Honorable Chair, we are on it because we are registered as merchants. We really are not feeling the tax that much, so they are using it as we speak. Yes,
the GRA will go after you. They will go after you. Their next stage is to ensure that the merchants are registered with the GRA so that they pay the taxes.
Honorable, we are also working with the GIZ to do the Ghana Pay. So we are looking at both sides. We started with the Momo, but we intend to move on to the Ghana Pay. We are working on that one too.
But the Ghana Pay will not be free. Oh. The Ghana Pay will not be free.
What it means, Honorable?
In fact, the Ghana Pay is a trap. Yes, Honorable Rox.
Chair, thank you. Chair, Administrator, did I hear that you cannot view your office? You don't have to prosecute. What you have to do is that you have to sue them. You have the right to take that action in the magistrate court. You don't need a policeman to prosecute. All that you have to you issue what we call summons for rent owed you. And Chairman, by way of public interest, when we were in Sunyani about 3 months ago, one of the issues that we dealt with was an observation regarding rents that were due your office from some of the districts in the Sunyani area. And the observation was that from where they come from to come and pay the rent, it's so far. And sometimes the rent is so small that the amount of money they spend to come and pay the rent and go back is more than the rent that is due. You know, so that's why I think the issue of Momo came in. So you should take it seriously. If that's the medium through which you can recover some of these monies, use it. Use it so that, you know, when the AG flags some of these issues, they look so small, so minimal, but they're important for them to flag. So introduce mechanisms, modern ways of collecting your monies from these various, your farm, people who are on your land and are benefit from it.
Thank you very much, Honorable. And that is one of the reasons we are asking our traditional authorities to open Kashmir land secretariats. And in these secretariats, we put our rent collectors. So, and those are much closer. Yes, please, we put our officers there acting as revenue collection points so that it's closer to our rent payers. Thank you very much.
All right, so that will be all for you. You are discharged. Honorable Minister, you are discharged. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I miss my former committee.
You are free to attend committee sitting. Yeah. Honorable members, that brings us to the end of what we program for today. Tourism will not be, the minister and the deputy are all not in, so we'll reschedule them. Similarly, education. So what it means is that we will be spending more days on this particular report because of rescheduling. So the meeting tomorrow, we are expecting a number of Ministry of Health, Ministry of Gender, Ministry of Food and Agriculture. And if they will not come and say the issues are for local government, like they did the last time. So they are the ministries we are expecting tomorrow. Colleagues, on that note, the committee sitting is adjourned to tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the forenoon.